Welcome to Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors. Talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors. Right here on Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9 FM, and KWSN 1230 AM, 98.1 FM, both out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo 104.7 FM. Today's Gone Outdoors is brought to you by Ray's Sport and Marine, your local Lund Boats and Bennington pontoon dealer in Moorhead. RaysMarineMoorhead.com. Adventure RV across from the Fairgrounds Inn, West Fargo, your number one RV dealer in the FM area. AdventureRVSales.com. Devil's Lake Tourism. Looking for wide open spaces, amazing fishing, and a refreshing escape? Discover Devil's Lake, where adventure, relaxation, and North Dakota hospitality come together. Plan your stay at devilslakend.com. The Outdoor Adventure Foundation. For over 17 years, the foundation has created life-changing outdoor adventures for youth facing life-threatening illness, injured veterans, and first responders. Learn more at outdooradventurefoundation.org. Strand Ace Hardware, Barnesville and downtown Pelican Rapids, proudly family-owned for 70 years. Valley Truck Gear, protecting your equipment. The Outdoorsman, and Onyx Fish Midwest, cast beyond the familiar. And thank you for joining us again here on Gone Outdoors as we look ahead to another week as we welcome some guests here for some outdoor talk today. And again, awfully appreciative that you are here joining us for this episode. Scott, it's been an eventful week. It oftentimes is this time of the year, and things that we're involved with, there's an awful lot going on, and that's a really good thing because it makes for a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it certainly does. We are getting the most out of summer, that's for sure. In between lawn mowings and gardening and weeding and all them other fun things, there's plenty to do in the outdoors. I know we spent quite a bit of time out in the boat lately, which is good. Hopefully that continues for about the next 4 months or so, or longer.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Or as long as it'll let us. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
You never want to wish ice any sooner than it has to be here. And here we are in June talking about ice. I don't know where that came from, but we love ice once it comes, but we don't necessarily wish it to be here any sooner. So yeah, hopefully we get a number of months yet in the boat. And last weekend, as we talked about, we were up at Devil's Lake, North Dakota for the 26th Men in Boats event there. And we've talked about the event here on the show, Fellowship, Faith, Friends, and Fishing. All of them came through this last weekend, Scott.
Yeah, they certainly did. And you know, Kyle, the 26th year of Men in Boats, I always wonder just how many different individuals have been there, you know, because it seems like every year there's a third of them have never been there before. And I know you talk to some people and they'll say, yeah, I haven't been here for 2 or 3 years. There are a few that go every year. But I really wonder how many individual people. I'm guessing it's got to be 800, 900,000.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit if it's topped the 1,000 mark, Scott, honestly. 26 years is a long time, and there's been a lot of faces that have come to that event over that time frame. And the cool thing is, I know you and I both would consider every single one of them friends.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Men in Boats is an event that if you've never been to it, you should think about it next year. Every year it's at Lakewood Bible Camp, and it is such a fun event. If this is something that you might be interested in, this event is for you. Highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Scott, you know, you talk about Men in Boats, but next weekend, Women on Water is happening. This is a relatively new event. It's its third year. And not a travel destination, although Big Cormorant Lake is certainly out of town when we talk about Fargo Moorhead and the community here. But There are still some spots open for women on water. It is limited by the number of boat captains that are helping out, but it's a one-day event, fellowship, faith, friends, and fishing again. But it's focused for the gals that are there, and boat captains volunteer their boat and host those women out on the water for a number of hours that day.
So let's talk about some of the details of that, Kyle. It is a one-day event, correct?
That's right. If you find yourself already in Lakes Country, you can meet them right there at YMCA Camp Cormorant on Big Cormorant Lake, or you can certainly do the flip side of that and catch a bus from Hope Lutheran Church. They'll drive you on out, and you get to basically hop off the bus and walk out on the dock and get picked up, get ready to fish. It's going to be a good time. And FargoHope.org is where you can sign up for that if there are, people who are interested, gals who are interested, and that registration is there on that website.
And, something else, Kyle, something our listeners have heard us talk about many times. This past week, we had our second Lake Agassiz outing of the year, our second tournament on Tuesday night. If you remember back, it was raining a little bit. We got a little bit of water. And those kids, we had 220, 230 kids on the water.
Just like about that. 280.
Holy cow.
I
didn't
know
there was that many.
Yup.
So it takes volunteer boat captains to get that many out there. Thank you to everybody that volunteers their time to get these kids out fishing. And congratulations to all these kids because, the conditions, it was raining right at 6 o'clock when they could start fishing, and it rained for probably, an hour or so, hour and a half, just kind of rained for a little bit, then stopped and rained. And those kids stayed out there and they all fished and they all did a great job. So congratulations to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great time. We watched the weather. It wasn't dangerous. There wasn't high winds. There wasn't lightning or anything like that. It was just some rain showers, and we can persevere through that. And they definitely did. It was a great lesson about fishing in maybe not perfect weather. And boy, oh boy, it was a great time. Scott, speaking of a great time, we got some great guests lined up for this show today. Cody Hill, Chill Guide Service over there in the Pelican Rapids area. He's going to talk a little bit about what he's been up to, a little bit about some rainbow trout opportunities in west central Minnesota. Erik Osberg, the Rural Rebound Initiative Coordinator in Ottertail County, who also is a U.S. House of Representatives candidate from District 7 in Minnesota. He's going to talk a little bit about what effects those federal level decisions have on our local individuals in terms of fishing and hunting. And then Matt Schneider from Tactacam, he's going to talk a little bit about getting our cameras ready, what's new in their lineup for technology, and what we have to look forward to going on into the hunting season this fall. Yep, the hunting season this fall is not that far away, and this is going to be a great conversation. Folks, stick around. We've got a whole lot of Gone Outdoors ahead of us. onX Fish Midwest, covering 11 states on both iOS and Android. All your fishing information is one click away. Searching for new destinations by species, abundance, or trophy potential, it's all at your fingertips, including access points and shoreline ownership.
You get confused by special lake regulations? They're all on onX Fish Midwest. Real-time weather for your exact location, aerial imagery, and waypoint management, all right to your mobile device. Use code BA Outdoors to get 20% off your subscription at onxmaps.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gone Outdoor Radio. You're listening on Kello News Talk or KWSN in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or the mighty 790 in Fargo, Moore, and surrounding communities. Scott Brewer, Kyle Agre of Brewer Agre Outdoors. And on this segment, we are going to chat with Mr. Cody Hill. Chill Guide Service. Cody I'm not going to say he's a regular on our show.
Close to a regular as you can get.
But he's been on quite a few times. How are you doing, Cody?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
So there's a reason why we love having you on, because you are a guide. You do quite a bit of fishing. and you love teaching people how to fish, and you're very, very good at it. I mean, if somebody is new to a certain species, they're new to fishing, you can explain things to them that they get it. And I can say that for a fact because the first time I went rainbow trout fishing was with you, and you were a great, great teacher. So, along those lines, let's talk about trout a little bit.
Yeah, I love rainbow trout. Actually, your profile when you called me is of you and your daughter-in-law holding two massive rainbow trout.
Yep, yep, I
Yeah,
remember.
uh, I fish rainbow trout in a lake, and it's a unique setting. Most people think of rivers, that's the only way to rainbow trout or any trout. Um, but a lot of lakes, your broadcast from Sioux Falls area, there's ponds, the quarries down there that have rainbow trout. Just even Sioux Falls city limits have rainbow trout. Uh, Minnesota DNR's got a list of lakes and tributaries that have different trout species in it listed, and it makes it easy for anglers that are wanting to try something new to locate bodies of water that are near them.
So, if somebody is looking for a lake, if they're listening to this, let's say they're in central Minnesota or southern Minnesota, they probably have a stocked trout lake relatively close to them because I think is it 35 or something lakes that are stocked, or is it more than that? Do you
There,
know?
I would be shocked it's a lot more than that. Even the Fargo Moorhead community, there's some rivers and rivers strictly in 3-5 miles of Moorhead that people are not probably aware of. So there are a lot of hidden little rivers and even Sucker Creek and Detroit Lakes have uh, brook trout in it. So I mean, there's a lot of hidden gems when people start looking that do produce rainbow trout.
Hmm. So when you said that they have brook trout in it, Kyle looked at me and I looked at him like, what?
They are
Really?
not as big as the ones that I've taken you out ice fishing through the ice up on the Red Lake Indian Reservation, but they are a couple inches. Yeah, you can find them there. Every now and then, people will find a muskie or northern, and they will find a trout inside the stomach. Sucker Creek goes into Detroit Lake.
Hmm. All right.
So
So
yeah, there are some hidden gems out there that people just need to do a little digging, see where you're located, check the Minnesota DNR website. It will help you find your closest uh, lake or river.
So this trout thing isn't necessarily new. It's been around a long time. Um, and when I was growing up, the stories I always heard were were out pulling downriggers, crankbaits and downriggers, or they were pulling cowbells. Do you need all this specialized equipment? But really, you don't. You seriously don't. I can almost guarantee everybody listening has the stuff in their tackle box where they can go out and chase trout. How is it that you like to go out and chase them?
I love bobber fishing, and all I'm using is your favorite rod. I like longer rods. You can get by with ultralights. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. I just like a soft rod tip because when these things run, you just need it to run. And I run your normal fly bobber, your Texas sinker, bullet sinker, and a walleye hook. And I'm rigging it up with some bait. And the key to trout is these waters are extremely clear, and fluorocarbon is key. That is key. And you need to play with how many pound test you want to go down to. And I'm using 4 pound test. I'm using 4 pound fluorocarbon. And I know I'm in 60 feet of water. there's no trees, there's nothing for them to get tangled up in. So I have my drag set to the same tension that I have my ultralights for bluegills and crappies. And when you hook one and they start running, just let it run. You're in 60 feet of water. There's nothing for them to tangle up in. Just let them run, wear themselves out, and just let it fight and bring it back to the boat, and it runs again. You just let it run.
So, Cody, what kind of areas are you targeting? You mentioned 65 feet of water. Is that a specific depth? What are these fish doing to relate to the structure or the lake features that we might want to key into?
If you crank up your regular down imaging, you'll start seeing water temperature lines down below you. It'll turn into like layers of a cake. And if you can find that top layer and set your slip bobber above that, the fish will always feed up. They don't always feed down. So it's better to be more shallow than deep. I'm in 50 to 60, 65 feet of water, but my slip bobbers are only down 10, 12, 15 feet down. When we limited out on Sunday, the boat beside us only had 2 fish. And I asked them how deep they were. They were at 30 feet. We were at 15. The boat beside us was instantly resetting their bobbers to get shallower. So you get shallow, they'll come flying up and hit it. You just watch that down imaging and you'll see a cloudy line. And what it is it's the density of the water is different and it will look cloudy, fuzzy. And that's where I try to set 2 to 5 feet above, because the fish will come up, the insects are feeding right in there. The fish will come up, eat the bugs, the minnows, and then go back down to deep water. Will you see fish on your imaging down deep? Yes, but they don't necessarily feed down there. They might be cruising down there, digesting, but they're feeding up shallower.
That's great tips, Cody. And we could do 2 or 3 more segments just back to back on this subject. Because, like I said, you are a great teacher. You love talking trout. You love talking any fish. But we got to finish up. If somebody wants to book you for a guide trip, and I highly recommend you book Cody. All right. So, how do people get a hold of you?
Easiest way is find me on Facebook, Chill Guide Service. You can find me on the World Wide Web at chillguideservice.com. You can call me at 218-443-3813.
All right. Thanks, Cody, and tight lines, bud.
Thanks, buddy. Stay safe.
Stick around. We'll be back with more Gone Outdoors after this short break. This is Scotty and Kyle. If you're in the market for a new fishing boat, you've got to check out Ray Sport Marine in Moorhead. They've got a huge lineup of Lund boats, all powered by Mercury outboards.
From chasing walleyes to pulling the kids on tubes and skis, there's a Lund built for every kind of adventure, with a Mercury on the back to power through it all.
Visit Ray Sport Marine in Moorhead, just north of Menards, or explore their full Lund and Mercury lineup anytime at raysportmarine.com.
Welcome back to the second half of this morning's Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors, talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors here on KWSN and Kello News Talk in Sioux Falls and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo. We're excited. We get to welcome back a friend of ours that has been a guest on our show before, but never in this capacity. We want to welcome Erik Osberg. Erik is officially in his job title, the Rural Rebound Initiative Coordinator of Ottertail County. He is also running for the U.S. Congress for Minnesota's 7th District. Erik, welcome to Gone Outdoors.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's great to have you on. And I just, for all of our listeners, Scott and I have been doing the show 10 years. We're not a political show. We don't dive into taking sides one way or the other. We want to provide information about people who love being in the outdoors. And having watched you for the last year in your campaign to run for U.S. Congress, I have always appreciated the fact that you go back to your roots as a person of rural Minnesota, you go back to your roots as someone who loves to hunt, to fish, to do all the things that so many of our listeners love to do. And I just think you can bring some great perspective. So just fill in our listeners a little bit about what that last year has been like for you.
Well, for those that aren't familiar, Minnesota's 7th Congressional District is basically Iowa to Canada. It is 38 counties. And so you had mentioned the rural roots. And so the last year, I know I'm over 28,000 miles. I might be somewhere near 29,000 miles. I haven't added it up in a couple of trips, but it's been a lot of windshield time. It's been a lot of in-person conversations. And what I tell people is we kind of inverted the pyramid. The rural places, the small towns, the small communities have felt left behind or not heard or ignored. And so one of our goals early on was to visit all 38 counties, and we did that pretty quick. And now it's been just a matter of deepening those relationships with people and having face-to-face conversations. And so that's the best way I can sum up the last 15 months is having face-to-face conversations with as many rural voters as humanly possible. And I think we've done that.
You know, Eric, I'm not going to speak for Kyle, but I will speak for Kyle and say neither one of us are at all surprised as to how hard you're working on this, because we've been friends for many years and we have watched you with your Ottertail position in Ottertail County and what you've done there and all the work you put into anything you do. So we are not at all surprised. So the reason why we wanted to get you on, because you are a candidate for a federal office, and we're interested in, your passion is the outdoors, hunting, fishing,
Yep.
everything outdoors, just
Yep.
like us. What
Yep.
does this position mean for the outdoors people of Minnesota? Because this isn't a state office, this is a federal office.
Well, great question, and there's a couple of ways that I look at it, and one of them is having a voice at the table, having a seat at the table, right? Like whichever side you're on, if we're into the outdoors, I like to think most of us have a conservationist mentality, right? Like we want to preserve our resources, and we want them for generations and generations to come. So just to have somebody that, there's a lot of times I get asked, well, if elected, which committees would you want to be on at the federal level? And a lot of times I say the agriculture committee, because it's such a big part of Western Minnesota. But there's a natural resources committee at the federal level. And so rather than having somebody who doesn't understand the outdoors sit on that committee, let's have somebody who lives the outdoors sit on that committee. So that's the first. So I said there's kind of two parts to it, and that's the first part is just having a voice, having a seat at the table that represents the outdoor enthusiast community. The second part is there's a lot of public land and public, there's public land and public resources, and again having a conservationist approach to those lands or waters, right? Like there's things that are going to last beyond us, and so that at the federal level, that's the way I look at it. Is you're really having a seat at the table, being a part of those conversations, being a voice for those who love the outdoors, and then also standing up for the lands and the waters that we all own. Right. That's what public means to me is we all own those things together. And so that's the way that I'm looking at this from a federal lens.
That's a great perspective, Eric. Thank you for that. I just think about, our country here, the United States, we're pretty unique in the amount of publicly accessible land that we have. And it's a pretty precious resource. I know just here in Minnesota, there was some talk about, Boundary Waters area and some of that, people wanting to keep it pristine and the way it's been. Are there other topics that you have kind of identified as important to people in Minnesota that are handled at the federal level?
Well, and you know, our main concern and what we've heard. Here's what we've heard, and this is not me imposing. I didn't start with this intent, but what I've heard people talk about is the Constitution. Right. Again, through the last 15 months, I've been up and down the district, and the Constitution seems to be at the top of everybody's mind. And the reason I focus on that is I picture that as it should be a unifying document. That's not one side or the other. And so just it doesn't necessarily it does, I guess, relate to the outdoors and in the hunting aspect, but I look at the Constitution. It's an instruction manual, and as long as we're following the instructions, we should be okay. So that's one other, again, not necessarily outdoor related, but that's one topic that seems to come up over and over, is the Constitution. And you had mentioned the boundary waters. If I could best describe what we're trying to do with this campaign, we're trying to find balance. I worked in the private sector. I was a small business owner. I've worked in the public sector, as you guys mentioned, and what we're trying to do is across the board is find some resemblance of balance. So, not trying to live in the extremes of either side, right? I've said many times from day one, and don't quote me on the math because I'm making it up, but there's 30% on the left, there's 30% on the right, and there's 40% in the middle. And we're trying to connect with that 40% in the middle. And so, and I don't want to bring it full circle, and maybe I won't, but one of the ways we try to do that, and this will relate to the outdoor audience, is we've been having what we call community fish fries. And so we go into a community, and it's not for one side or the other. We want everybody from all sides to feel welcomed and to be a part of it. And we call it breaking bread and creating community, right? Like, when's the last time we could all get together, leave our differences at the door, and just talk and hang out and listen. And yeah, we fry fish while we're doing it, because that's fun, right? But yeah, that's really what we're trying to do, is, again, listen to what people are saying, and then have those conversations and face to face. Again, I kind of started with that, but we conduct ourselves differently on the internet than we do face to face. And so I think that human connection in person is the way we start solving problems.
Thank you, Erik. Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion, and I think I can speak for Scott, is I think too much of our world is black and white, and there's a lot of us,
yes,
myself included,
yes,
who live our lives in the gray in the middle. And you're one of us, and I thank you, and I'm proud of that, and I appreciate you taking time to come on our show this morning and share a little bit about what you're doing and how that'll impact people who love the outdoors. If people want to follow along with you personally and with your campaign, what's the best place for them to do that?
Well, they could go to erikosberg.com, and that's ErikOsberg, or we have an Erik Osberg for Congress Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. And it's ERIK. That's the thing you got to look for. And OSBERG. We're on all the socials, and our website is erikosberg.com. Yeah, and we're trying to be accessible and responsive. And I'm not saying we respond to every Facebook comment, but if somebody wants to get a hold of us, we pride ourselves on being accessible and responsive. So if they have a question, they can reach out, go to our website, shoot us an email, and we'll get an answer to them as best as we can.
Erik, thanks for breaking the mold here in today's world and doing it the right way. Again, we appreciate you coming on the show, and wish you all the best here as you go through the remainder of this year.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, guys, and keep up the good work, and we really appreciate you.
Folks, don't go away. We've got more Gone Outdoors yet ahead of us. We are up against a break now, but stick around. We'll be back with more Outdoor Talk.
At Acme Tackle, innovation meets results, from legendary cast masters to proven trolling and jigging baits that flat out catch fish.
When it's time to finesse, power, or fill the live well, reach for Kalen's Plastics. Lifelike action, proven colors, and the soft plastics that fish just don't let go of.
And tie it all together with Elliott fishing rods, lightweight, sensitive, and built for anglers who demand performance on every cast.
Acme Tackle, Kalen's Plastics, and Elliott fishing rods. Fish smarter, fish harder, and fish confident.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Gone Outdoor Radio. You're listening on Kello News Talk or KWSN in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Or maybe you're in Fargo, Moorhead area, and you're listening to KFGO, the mighty 790. Wherever you are listening to Gone Outdoors, thank you for tuning in. We are going to head all the way down to California on this segment. Why are we going to California? That sure is a long ways away, right, Kyle?
I have no idea, Scott. I'm waiting for you to tell us.
We are going to chat with a North Dakotan who just happens to be living down in California, Mr. Matt Schneider of Tactacam. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on today, guys. Obviously I'm down in California for a little bit of a time period down here for schooling for my wife, but don't worry, we'll be back up in North Dakota as soon as she's wrapped up with school. So we'll be coming back.
Well, you never know, Matt. You might just fall in love with California and say, the heck with North Dakota and just come here on vacations. No, never mind. You don't have to answer that because I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, the fishing and hunting is a little bit too good back home for us to stay down here, but I appreciate the thought.
A lot of our listeners recognize your voice because you worked at Fargo Shields for a long time. You've been on our radio show many times, and then you moved to California, and there's no Shields in California, not yet anyway. So it's like, well, what are you going to do now? Well, you landed one heck of a good job, buddy, with Tactacam. So
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what it's like working for Tactacam.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's a dream job in my boat for sure. Coming from Shields, I was a social media manager there. And really, when I knew that we were going out of state, I really kind of started looking at remote options for, somewhere in the outdoor industry. I was connected a little bit more into the fishing side, but really never dove into the hunting side. The cool thing is that there's a lot of similarities where the fishing side, it's very well connected. Everyone knows everyone, and that's the same thing with the hunting side. So luckily got a great referral from one of my good buddies from Fargo. Been with Tactacam for a little over a year and a half now, and learning a lot over here. I'm a whitetail hunter, but in North Dakota, you only get a tag every so often or a couple years. So I've been learning a lot from these guys, and truly, like, being on the marketing squad over here, we're doing a lot of really cool things in the hunting space, and we truly have just built a marketing mecca for our team. We have some truly amazing people that are associated with the business, and can't thank them enough for A, taking me on, and then B, just teaching me the ropes of the hunting industry, but then also the product side, because that's a whole nother kettle of fish that I had to learn.
Let's talk trail cameras for a little bit. By now, most guys, or a lot of guys, have their trail cameras out because they're trying to figure out what's going on out in their deer woods, especially the cellular cameras. Is it ever too early to put them out, or should we leave them up year round, or what's your recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, every use case is a little bit different. Folks, whether they have permission pieces and they're only able to go in a few months out of the year during the hunting season or whatever have you. But if you're fortunate enough to run them year round, I really strongly suggest doing that for a couple of reasons. Mainly, North Dakota, all that Midwest area, truly, harsh winters are tough on deer, and I like running my cameras year round like after the season, especially just to watch like herd management and see like which bucks and which does made it through, and just make sure like they have everything that they need out there, to make sure that we're setting up for success in the fall. But it's never too early, and it's truly never too late even to set up a camera. We're using these things as a tool for information to help us make sure that our time in the woods is well spent. So it's never too early, but it's also never too late to set them out either.
Yeah, Matt, I find myself on our farm, which you're familiar with, keeping those cameras out into, way, way late into the year, late December. A lot of times we'll bring them back in late December, early January, and do a little cleanup, do a little, inventory of what we've got on the cameras. But then we're putting them back out, prior to turkey hunting. So there's maybe in our world only 1 or 2 months or they're not out there. One of the questions we have very often in our discussion is, do we put the cameras back out in the same places they were the year before, or is there an advantage to moving them around? What's your advice on that one?
Yeah, I think we have a couple cameras out at our place that they stay on the same tree year after year. They keep getting hit, right? But every farm's a little bit different. You might have places where deer are within that area because you see trails and you see like certain bedding spots, but you're just not getting that many images on the camera. Then I think it's time to start coming up with a game plan of putting those cameras in different locations. And one thing you can do, and you still should be able to do it this time of year, is go out and go see where that old sign is from the previous fall, and set your cameras around that. More times often than not, those mature bucks are going to be heading back to those old sign spots, or like old rub spots, I should say. And, they're going to be there year after year, as long as they're still on the hoof. So, go get boots on the ground, go figure out where you can see some old sign, or maybe even some fresh sign of just like good bedding area, and check out those areas if your cameras aren't getting hit as much.
That is a great tip. Great tip. And Matt, we could talk about these trail cameras for hours, about placement and all of that. But we got to get going here pretty soon. You guys are running a very good special, Father's Day special. It's Father's Day tomorrow. But the special goes till the 26th of June. Tell us about it.
That's correct. We are running 25% off on our website. Truly just getting that father a gift that they're going to use for years and years and years. We have a saying in our marketing department that we're not going to get our dads any more coffee mugs or ties. They might love them, but cameras are where it's at. And if you're a family that's out in the woods and chasing whitetail, mule deer, whatever have you, truly anything that you need a use case for a trail camera, we're running that special on our website, like you say, through the 26th. So it's a great product. It's a great gift. And no spoilers, but that's what I'm going to be getting my dad for Father's Day. So hopefully he's not listening, but we're going to take that chance.
Hey, Matt, you want to throw that website out there real quick?
Yep. That will be Tactacam.com, and underneath our Reveal trail camera section.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. Matt Schneider of Tactacam. Thanks for coming on Gone Outdoors.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Special thanks to our show sponsors, Ray Sport Marine, Adventure RV, Devil's Lake Tourism, Valley Truck Gear, Strand Ace Hardware, the Outdoor Adventure Foundation, the Outdoorsman, and Onyx Fish Midwest. Thank you for tuning to today's Gone Outdoors. Follow along when you're on the water or in the field. Gone Outdoor Podcast, KFGO.com, KWSN.com, KELO.com, Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify. Visit us at breweragreoutdoors.com and follow us on social media. Till next week, from Scotty and Kyle, we'll be Gone Outdoors.